España. España. Not about our business, not about but the idea that the reason you're an innovator or you succeed and the role in social development and the role in the professions in society, what was the impact of making the printing press?
Ideas do not create value. It's the execution of those ideas that create value. So in the world belongs to those who do not only think. The world belongs to those who can do.
No, but that's very good, very good. Because although this is supposed to be a philosophical discussion,
Right.
it's important to have that. I'm the guy here for the philosophical discussion. I'm the academic in this room today. Kung minsan-minsan lang ako academic, but today I'm an academic. I'm the old professor that used to teach in Lasal for today. Okay. Si Obet, the one who is becoming, is the disruptor. Siya yung kamukha ko.
Okay.
No, let's not talk about ideas. Let's talk about API. Diba? And the 10 people who are here, meaning the 8 plus you and Maku who's coming and leaving, represent that initial discussion. Kasi tine-question ko yung setup of the philosophy subjects in school. I'm one of those kasi who believe there should be philosophy in every college course.
I agree.
Diba?
I absolutely
And that's why
agree.
people cannot think, cannot develop
Yes.
a worldview, because they do not understand there's a philosophy of everything.
I'm class 93. My classmate, our first general will be this year.
Tagal.
Tagal.
93, partner.
Mga full colonels pa lang kami ngayon. Well, mga classmates ko. So I was saying, you know, with
Mas
all due
mabilis sa
respect,
reserve.
yeah, with all due respect to people from UP,
Kita mo, inalis ko ng focus niya, binalik pa rin niya.
no, because it was a segue towards, you know,
Yes.
we were going to talk about innovation.
No. Ideas wrong.
So idea generation, which eventually ideation, no? Creation.
Iba pa yan.
Iba pa yun.
Ideas, ano. Basically, ganito, di ba? Life is very simple. Whether you think about your life or not, whether you are one of those who would like to come out with a great idea or not, ideas are there germinating all the time. The challenge is not to listen or do most of them, not 99% of them.
Yeah.
And that ability to make distinctions, do evaluations, clarify in your head where you want to be, is the difference between people who succeed and those who fail. Many of those who fail are very bright, but they cannot get away from the idea of that. So the innovation week is divided into 4 parts.
Okay.
The first part, which is last Monday, is where we talk about what innovations happen and why do people involved in innovation in those areas think that they have done things that are workable, doable. So it's a nice discussion.
Right.
There is a plenary on business, a plenary on science, technology, and research, and a plenary on education.
Right.
And so with SGV there, we get a good cross-section, for example, of what is businesses, etc. So, ang head ng Kokobea, pinagsalita ko. And ang kanyang question sa kanya is, so it's education, development, etc. So, maybe the question is, are we actually going back or getting worse? Diba? So, magandang question. But then you have to talk about specific innovations that happened in the last 12 months that we think make a difference in each of these areas or other areas of Philippine life. The second event is the Ideas Conference. We talk about, okay, since we know that good inventions, good innovations come from good ideas, what exactly should we be talking about, discussing, teaching when it comes to ideas? Because learning about ideas is a constant challenge to everyone, no matter your seniority in professional business. That's why good businessmen, before they innovate, they think of business. Then they find a way to innovate and they sustain it and so on. But there's a constant generation of ideas, mostly not by plan or design, but by accident. But that's the nature of development and innovation. Most things are not planned. Most things are a reaction to something else or
But should it be?
Yeah. So that's
But should
yeah.
it be? Can
Yeah.
it be more deliberate this
Yeah.
time?
But that's the discussion.
Yeah.
So at the ideas level, if you can start being deliberate in the way you handle ideas, then everything you do will be a bit more deliberate.
Right.
And the more people do that, we hope will result in a better society.
And then it's not going to be only deliberate, it's going to be relevant, especially if it is anchored on a particular actually business need or a stakeholder
Yes,
need.
yes.
And that's when ideas becomes valuable, especially if you now start executing against those ideas.
Yeah,
Because-
so there
Yeah.
areas of weakness in the whole idea process. Even before you reach the point where it becomes a regular part of your business, your profession, or whatever. Manya, for example, okay, you started with containers, but now it's looking at all sorts of other things.
Right. But I think what sets him apart is the fact that you actually act on your ideas. I'm sorry, I'm going to belabor this issue about execution of
That's
ideas.
why you're here, partner. You're that guy.
It really is, and I go around and be invited to
That's
speak.
why I insisted you come because I
yeah.
know yung perspective.
That only, you know, ideas really do not create value. We have to create an enabling environment. Ideas or the generation of ideas happen, right? It's
Isa
good.
doon, isa dito.
But only until after we act on these ideas that they become valuable. Otherwise, it is just an exercise of, you know, mentality.
In fact, the worst thing is it could be an exercise in ego.
Absolutely,
And we see
right.
a lot of people who do that. Even when they execute, it's about ego. So, iba yung ego.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about.
In my past life, I used to get invited to speak here and abroad, talk
Sa
about
iyan, diba?
a few things, no? And in these international conferences that I attend or I speak in, they would always say, you know what, we admire Filipinos. You have a lot of good ideas, but if only you did something about it. So the impression that I get is that, you know, these friends of mine are just very polite to say, but they would say you are long in ideas and short in the execution. So that really bothers me a lot because there is no shortage of ideas in the Philippines. Some good, some not so good, some outrageous, some funny, but there never is going to be any at all ideas. There will be 10 ideas in a meeting of 5 people. So that's what I mean. So I think for us like this is good because they make the idea discussion a little bit more deliberate and more formal. And through that discussion, I hope the realization will come out that yes, we need to develop a system or a mechanism wherein we could generate all of these ideas, harness these ideas from the very unlikely sources. Because we always thought about ideas being generated by the people on top. They can and they should be generating that at that level. However, based on what I see in my experience, both in government, when I was in the military, and when I'm now in the business sector, ideas and wonderful ideas could come actually from the very unlikely sources. The very cashier on the register, the sales leader, wonderful ideas. However, there is no deliberate mechanism nor the recognition that such ideas would come and can come from the sources. Students can be very good sources of ideas.
I think so. They just have to learn how to make them happen.
To package it, yes, and to package and articulate it. Sometimes when in the family context, my kids have good ideas, but sometimes the way it's being packaged, so then they have to be guided. I think there is value in continuing this exercise that you have started, Tony, on making this a more deliberate, carefully managed initiative.
And then, do you know what happens afterwards? Then we have this, we call them I&I tour, Invention and Innovation Tour. So, taking from the Innovation Forum and the Ideas Roundtable, we then go to universities for the whole year.
Okay.
So, anywhere between 12 and 30 universities that we visit, talk to them, but they must invite us.
Okay.
So some years we do 1 or 2. Last year we did 11, I think. This year, as of yesterday, we had 3. Tomorrow we have 3 more. Because we can talk about the discussion in last year's Ideas Conference. And because I always change the participants. always a different set of.
So what is the output of an ideas conference?
The output is basically just a video of 2 hours, which is shown to people, and then those who watch will then enter into a discussion or dialogue with us as to, is this something that you would like to discuss through an I&I tour, where we bring the ideas to the level of interventions and innovation. But then understanding, but this all starts from those ideas.
Right.
What's this? Discussing with your students.
Right.
Send the papers to us. People may not see it, but in our private boxes for these people, you begin to see that they can. We've been doing this for many years. That's why it took almost 6 years to start the innovation.
So
Because when I explain this, we will say, bakit pa kailangan ideas daw kayo? Bakit pa kailangan pag-isipan ng pati invention? Sabi ko, but there are many facets kasi to innovation. And it's important for the foundation like us to cover them all because many of us are academics. We actually study these things.
Yeah.
I did take my PhD in philosophy. Can you imagine? You I did that. I just don't talk about it kasi whatever I studied is passing. Kasi I graduated almost 50 years ago, partner. So what I studied. But from the campus tour, diba, then we introduced the concept of innovation awards. How old was he? How old was he?
69. Very much.
See all these young people.
Not that
How old are you, partner?
interesting age, ha? 69.
Di ba yun ang age mo?
I'm 73.
Umuo ka na, binababa ko na ikaw talaga.
It's good to be honest.
Oh, of course. Can you imagine, classmate ko siya. Di ba? Yap from Cebu ito eh.
Yeah, I'm from Cebu. Kaya we call it our pinsan.
Oo. Ito yung ito yung pamilya ni James siya. Ay, hindi.
Hindi ka magkanak namin yan. Distant.
Pero kamag-anak ko si Chief Justice partner.
Si
Pedro Yap.
Pedro, pagkamag-anak
I
namin yan.
know. That's why nga when you say it,
Oh.
tumatawa lang ako, but we must be related.
Oh, Pedro
Kasi
Yap is-
yung kanilang ninuno
Oh.
is the brother of my lolo.
Oh.
Yung tatay niya, brother of my grandfather.
He's, I don't know what degree cousin of my father.
Kaya lang we did not learn wala tayong athletic skills like si James.
There is a young that taught in San Carlos.
Yeah, he is my cousin.
Yeah.
The Dean Pedro
Yes,
Yap.
That's right.
Dean
I'm from
Emeritus.
Cebu also.
Taga Cebu ka?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ito si
He's my first degree cousin.
oh.
Ah,
Pero ang
okay.
buhay niya for a long time was really education, si Sam.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Kasi because he comes from a very famous order.
Which one?
I am a former SBD priest.
SBB.
Society of Divine. San
Si-
Carlos.
Si Rod Salazar was our speaker last Monday.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, okay.
Alam mo na si Rod ba siya, di ba?
Rod Salazar, oo.
Yan, speaker, grabe.
Si Rod.
Pero pareho silang pare, sabay silang pare dito.
Ah?
Matanda ka dun ha?
Yeah.
Matanda ka kaya nauna ka dun di ba?
Yes, I'm ahead of Rod.
Oo. No, si Rod kasi, he keeps forgetting, sabi ko, I have a certain very distant relative ka ako, si Sammy si Samuel. Kilala ka niya, siyempre.
Yeah, of course.
Pero kung saan siya,
Ha?
may sakit siya pa rin kung saan
Yeah,
siya.
yeah. May sakit siya.
Who is still around? Father Rod?
He's based in Christ Dickens Seminary. Diyan sa
This
Quezon
year,
City.
sila, jubilarian, alam mo yan.
Yeah.
Kabatch niya, batch niya ngayong year na ito eh. Pero mas matanda si Sammy doon.
Yeah. Junior sa akin, like in seminary, di ba? Ganun din.
Oo.
Underclassmen, ganun din. Pero may sakit siya, sayang.
Kung nga sabi, he was telling me, one time I get a call, tapos pinuntahan ko siya sa Christ the King, and then, well, ganyan talaga, Father. You reach a certain age, your body decides to break down. Believe me.
Yeah.
Oh, I have osteoporosis. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, so I have to be careful about my bones. And it's okay. That's why nag-ibang sports ko eh. Sabi niya, this jump smashing during badminton has got to stop. 2 operations na ako eh. Sabi niya, third niyan would be difficult.
Ganun?
Kasi you jump on the same foot. So, my operations are on the same foot. Kaya lang 2 times na binuksan ng tuhod ko eh. So, sabi niya, yun ba nun? Sabi sa akin, kasi not everybody gets osteo. I had
Anong ipinalit mo? Anong ipinalit mo sa
walking.
best?
No,
ano?
badminton. Sa baba. I
kaya
miss the darn
yung pantalon is strenuous.
Until
It's more strenuous than tennis.
Oo naman. Bago lang tennis. Until 2 years ago, I'm playing singles. Eh.
Grabe,
Nag-champion ako sa Makati. Eh.
Grabe,
Ano,
ah.
Class A partner.
Grabe, ah.
Even MVP, na ano rin yung tuhod eh.
Si Manny is what? 2 years younger than us.
It's because of ano?
Badminton?
Oh,
Pero hindi siya
badminton
marunong.
Hindi. Hindi pa, yung...
Nakakalaro ko yung varsity ng UAAP. Eh.
Talagang ano yung sa'yo.
No, serious play.
Serious play.
We're the guys who came from squash.
Yeah.
We discovered badminton and we found it's faster than squash. So nag-shift kami. Ang squash kasi just looks fast, pero kung may experience ka, don't panic, wait for the ball. Kasi everything is within one step. Eh. Just stay within the tee.
Kasi yung court
Yes.
mo.
At saka 5 walls eh. Including the floor, 4 walls. So intayin mo lang. Ang problema yung iba hindi alam how to hit against the back wall, about ideas.
You want me to repeat it?
Repeated partner.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Para mahilo itong mga ito. No, wait.
I am,
Yeah.
I have to apologize in advance because I really need to leave. I've organized another ideas generation. It's an economic meeting for the company that I belong to. So I started the meeting.
Ito yung nag-list ng Gaisano sa stock market.
I used to be a soldier, now I'm just a bidder.
I like that.
So well, basically, let me give back the perspective where I'm coming from. As I said, I used to serve in the Navy for more than 20 years, and then I decided to privatize myself. Tired of being poor. Still poor. But then I shifted, I became a regulator. So I was with the stock exchange. And then I became an NGO. I ran an NGO on corporate governance.
Parang siya ang presidente ng ICT
Used to be
before.
the president of the
Institute of Corporate Governance.
And then-
Siya nag-create ng listing rules at the stock exchange.
On corporate governance.
On corporate
I wrote
governance,
the rules
yeah.
of corporate governance. And then I decided to work in the region. I used to head Palladium. Palladium is the consulting firm that was set up by Kaplan and Norton, the inventors of the Malas Corner. So I ran that for a couple of years as a consultant. So I was
Maganda yan because that's on execution management consultancy. How do you execute correctly?
yeah. So that's the
Yan ang
so
background. He was the regional head.
we built a science around the concept of strategy execution, which now I needed to show you that to
Try.
ito na yun ang ko. No, I see myself as a strategy management professional. What does that mean? I belong to a field of expertise wherein we design strategy and we execute on them. So I believe that when I was invited to this meeting, I told Tony, I can be a disruptor in this discussion on ideas because I don't think ideas create value. I don't believe ideas create value. It's the execution of the ideas that create value. The future belongs to those who can execute, not those who can think.
Hello.
So that's why I said, okay, tama ba ako? Should I be in this meeting? Because yes, I do and I respect the whole exercise of ideas generation. But I will not be contented with just stopping at ideas. And I've been to quite a number of conferences. I spoke at many conferences here and abroad. And I've always been told, you Filipinos are very good at generating ideas, but you're short on the execution. So I have dedicated my professional and even personal life. I still get invited to talk, but it is within the context of how to get things done. Even my current work in the organization and in my NGO work, I have controlled myself and a little tolerance for just talking ideas. I would want to immediately get, okay, yes, 100% ideas is not something that I look for. I'm just happy with 80% and let's do execution because that idea becomes even better as you execute it. Once you start putting it and executing on it, 9 out of 10 research indicate 9 out of 10 plans that companies do or organizations do are not executed well. So when we plan, we have a 90% chance of not actually executing on what we have planned to do. That's scientifically or that's empirically proven. So, however, I feel that
I feel that there is still value in the exercise of a deliberate exercise of generating ideas. But I just hope that there's value to generate ideas. But I hope it's part of a process. It's part of a process on executing on them. And the execution, so there is a huge multiplier effect on executing on a not so good strategy. But the multiplier effect is that good execution actually can make up for a not so good idea. But a very good idea poorly executed cannot get you anywhere.
I agree.
So this is where we are. Again, I laud the foundation for organizing something like this. A forum where we exchange ideas, and the caution I just would like to throw, again, the disruptor in me, is that you see, I hope it's not left here. And I hope that we always think of ideas and execution as two sides to one coin. That it would be wrong. In fact, a disservice to not executing the ideas, because there is already an inherent skepticism towards any planning exercise, towards any idea exercise. We are working off on a disadvantage immediately. In the private sector context, pag nag-planning ka, ano na naman ito? Diba? They will say, what is this again? And then suddenly, if it fails, it's doomed to fail, because number one, the mindset is not predisposed to, executing. It's just like planning. You have plan. So there are mechanisms now in execution. Like for example, if you have a strategy plan more than one page, good luck. You cannot execute on a plan. But I used to be a consultant. Consulting firms would like to give you very thick strategies. Unless it's reduced to one page or 2 pages, you cannot. So those are my thoughts.
Disrupt kita kasi interesado ko. Our lawmakers are brilliant. Ang gaganda ng mga laws. But what do you feel? Because these are laws that are good but not executed properly.
Yeah, but marami kasing barriers to execution. One is obviously, many of the laws that are nice are actually unfunded. So, if you do not fund a law, however it is, wala ka talagang nagawa. I am still not very convinced as to, by the way, I had the opportunity to lead the technical team that drafted the first law that Pinoy signed as a president. This is the GCG law. The law that created, I was hired by Senator Billon, Senator Billon at the time, to draft that law on government-controlled corporations. Okay. So I do have some experience on laws, how they're drafted. There's a lot of, ICAM, there's a lot of force really here and there. But there's actually a lot of good in the spirit of the law. But sometimes it's in the, you're right, in the execution and interpretation. But
Enforcement.
And then of course enforcement. So there are no sanctions as well. So I think it's the motivations as well that actually get in the way. And of course the practicality of funding. Also, many of these laws presupposes that there is already a skill set that is available to be able to properly enforce. Minsan wala. In case of the GCG law, they created a commission. I'm not sure if the commission I'm not sure they are competent enough to.
Sorry for the question.
Because we patterned that after I told Senator Dillon, you pick a country. I recommended the New Zealand model, the CCFA. That was the model for the GCG law. So it's actually anchored on a lot of other countries' best practices, but we'll see. Kasi marami pa rin mga complaints. There's still a lot of complaints around houses. So again, politics basically. I mean, the reality is that politics will get in the way.
JJ, we don't want to end in frustration. Time here is limited, and we don't want to hear us having ideas without having it executed. But what
what among the things that you see in the governance, whether in the public or private sector, na talagang maybe happy because it was executed, na nakikita natin dito sa bansa?
This whole concept,
The victory model, parang ganun.
I would like, it also applies to the private sector, public sector, even family and personal life. First, for individuals, organizations that are successful, they first have what I would call clarity of vision. They know what they want. So they know what they want. So it's clear to them. So clarity is one. Second would be there is an alignment between what you want and what you're doing. In the context of organization, the incentive system, the processes, and what have you, the policies are aligned to the clarity of the vision that you want to see. The third component is some form of governance, some form of a discipline that you subscribe to. Kasi people react to what is inspected, not what is expected. So we always say na matatanda na tayo, you know what to do, this is the vision, this is the thing, do it. I still believe that we are no different from young kids, so we need adult supervisions ourselves. So there is some form of a discipline, a governance system within the organization that allows you to check on your progress. And finally, focus on people. Execution is about people. Execution is not about metrics. It's about change. Execution is about being mindful and being sensitive to what are the indicators from a people standpoint of execution. What's the leadership team about? Is it really, are they empowered? Are they motivated? So I have, through the years, developed what I would call the strategy execution pyramid that is defined by those 3 or 4 components. Really, clarity of the vision, alignment of systems and processes, a governance system or governance model that ensures continuous implementation para sustain. And then finally, the focus on the who, the people. So any organization, as a father, I sometimes fall into the trap of when I talk to my kids, how are your grades? Without even asking them, how are you? See, I mean, they come from school, they come from, the son in the dorm, and I suddenly see myself saying, oh, how's your grades? Or how's this, how's that? Then I have to catch myself and say, focus on the who first, not on the what. So we fall to that as a business leader as well. You say, nabigay mo na ba yung report? Where's the report? Where is this? Forgetting that there is still the who part. So execution at the end of the day, you will only succeed in the execution if you succeed in building people, the people part of the execution story. So, and that's where you talk about values. That's where you talk about culture. That's where you talk about faith. I still believe that faith has a very strong place in organizations, even in the organization that I used to belong to. My heart belonged to the military. Faith has a so I think
I know you have to run.
yes.
Sorry about that. My wife was calling me, could not hear me.
You have to run. When the wife goes, you run.
Kung saan ako pumunta looking for a signal.
And also, timing Tony because he was focused on the who.
Yeah. Focusing
Focus on the people.
I know.
Discussing about that.
I know who the boss is.
Wonderful.
Sige, partner.
Once again apologize for having to rush.
But but thank you for coming. You have to go back to where you came from.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
to go back
Makati
to-
yun, partner.
Yes.
Alis ka na, kundi mata-traffic ka.
Yes, and then to
AJ.
open another session.
One reaction.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I put up a school in Tanawan called Faith.
Yes.
Faith. First Asia Institute of Technology and Humanities.
Right.
The whole idea there was to integrate technology and humanities,
Yes.
which is values
Mhm.
and your faith.
Mhm.
So, in other words, when you put up a school, you should not only turn out academically excellent people, but people who have values.
Right.
But somehow our education system has this apart.
Yes.
No? Ito yung technology, ito yung values natin. So, wala siyang integration. That's why you produce people from the best Catholic schools who turn out to be first-class cooks. So I tried to put up that school to integrate this, right from the start, When you're a teacher, you're not only a mathematics teacher, you're also a values teacher.
Absolutely.
See? So parang ganon. Now, unfortunately, my president had other ideas, and so we parted ways after I put up the school after 4 years. But I still have that vision, sana. Somehow, if we can have a school system whereby every teacher is also a values teacher. It's not only the theology department.
They're starting a course, we call it social enterprise.
Yeah, okay.
They're soon gonna have its own course for it. Now it's an elective, I understand.
No, but I want everybody to be a values teacher.
I
Yeah.
subscribe to that.
Sige.
Kasi ang problema namin sa private sector, kung kuha namin ng mga estudyante after school, very technical sila. Sometimes we have to work on that.
Relax muna.
Anyway, again, President JD,
We just have a picture partner.
Sige, sige.
Yeah, does everyone know si Kip Tatan? Of course. Sami Yapo. Julmoy Rom. Eda Misla. Si Mark. Bartolome. JJ Moreno.
JJ Moreno.
Matagal nag-serve sa gobyerno ito.
Related to Ambassador Moreno?
I think so. I'm not so sure yet.
Roy.
Yeah, Roy
Si
is
Panya. Si Panya. Panya is an honorary Filipino Thai yan eh. Let's have a picture. We have one rose. Dito ako nasa gitna. Yan. Diyan ka na. Yan. Okay. Yes, to run kasi.
One step to your right. To your right.
Okay.
Dito sir. Spread ng konti kasi
Pwede pa.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, everybody here. Ready, 1, 2, 3, one more. Alam sir One, two.
Thank you. JJ.
Okay.
Salamat. Okay lang. We're supposed to be 10, but one has to go as JJ. Kasi nag-arrange si JJ is a member of my board. He's the only member of my board here other than Eda Misla. Si JJ spent more than 20 years in the Navy. Then kinuha ni GMA to set up the governance committee for the Philippines. Then he wrote the governance rules of the stock exchange. Kinuha siya ni Justice Stanislao to be the president of ICD, replacing him. Sabi siya president is ICD.
So, kaya rin siya ngayon?
No. Ngayon, after si Rex Trillo, after Rex, si ngayon? Si Fred Pascual.
Si Fred
Fred is the new president of ICD. In fact, he was telling me he's going to the south regarding ICD.
ICC.
ICD, Institute of Corporate Directors.
Akala ko ICC.
Iba yan. So tama ba, we should be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Kulang ng isa. Who is not here?
Hindi si JJ?
No, si JJ ang pang-sampu. Yan, if you look at it, eksaktong 10 chairs. Yes. Just give me 1 minute, just check if we're missing somebody that will start. But please order, kasi dapat umorder na tayo. Because this is supposed to be until 11. Diba? So kung pwede, everybody orders na muna. Pakitawagin ng waiter, guys.
I invited an honored student in the
Nasaan siya?
Masters of Public Health, but apparently this morning there's supposed to be an emergency. She has to attend to
Sayang.
Sino?
It's a fresh graduate of Masters in Public
UP.
Health.
UP yan, ano?
NCPAG.
NCPAG.
NCPAG. Diyan sa nag-aaral eh. NCPAG siya.
Kilala mo asawa ko?
Si Mrs. Tata.
She's a recent graduate.
Ano nag-aaral siya? Ano yan? Master's or doctorate?
Masters. That was her bachelor's degree. In her senior year, she decided to go back. And so the professors called her Ma. And they're obliged to give her the
The
highest.
best grade. Parang gusto mong gawin yun, ha? Oo nga. Magandang ano yan, ha?
Did she take the thesis course or the comprehensive?
Wala pa siyang kwan. Wala pang doctorate. Sabi ko, that's a waste of time na because you don't really learn much. you
Let me support that. And
you learn.
when I was almost
in practice.
60, I enrolled there for another doctorate. My God, the teacher still wants you to say exactly what she or he lectured. Word for word. So when you give it word for word, you get one.
Mhm.
When you don't, you grade is low. Okay. And then we were studying in the grade school department classrooms of UST. Bakit yung fashion?
Too small. Eh?
I have to bring my own chair to the classroom every time we meet. But you know, ibang UST ibang UST My Jesuit education and are so different when we're studying Aquinas. Nakakatuwa.
Scholastic philosophy.
Oo, nakakatuwa talaga yun. Gentlemen, if it's okay, we'll take 5 minutes to order and then we'll start. Okay? Move over na lang here, over para wala tayong makeup. Kanya, ikaw pa-pronounce mo yung pangalan mo.
Muslim ka ba?
Well, my name is Pali.
Wala po, wala po.
Wala Muslim.
I'm in the real estate
yung Baker
sector.
Oat.
What we do
Baker
is
Oat.
well, our organization is more
Sandwich,
like a
gusto
social
mo chicken
enterprise.
as para
What
sa
we do is to convert old
sandwich,
shipping
chicken as para
containers
sa sandwich.
into low-cost housing.
You convert containers into local housing.
Yes.
These are real containers.
These are, yes. What?
These are containers used before for the shipping.
From the shipping, no?
Nasa Mandaluyong, he's the one na na-award na ano.
Yeah, I remember dun sa
He's one featured sa TV on ano.
containers.
Oo.
Yes.
So he started doing these containerized houses for workers and other people. Magkamura, no? Magkakamot yan.
Yes,
Sa Mandaluyong.
for a month stay, it's only 1,700. That includes water, power, all the
May aircon doon, di ba?
yes, air conditioning.
Where are you in Mandaluyong? Where?
In Mandaluyong, we're in Barangay Mabini, along Pasig River, JP Rizal Street.
Other locations.
Yeah, we have 4 locations now. Mandaluyong, we have Manila, Cainta, and Quezon City.
You're originally Thai?
I was born in Thailand, but my family migrated to the Philippines when I was only 5, so I'm pretty much Pinoy now.
Your genes are purely Pinoy. Your genes are Pinoy.
Yes.
There's no trace of Thai.
Yung accent niya, Pinoy yun, ha?
Yeah.
Pero maganda yung ginagawa niya kasi now he's upgrading, he's doing other design.
Combination.
Hopefully,
Yes,
very
right.
Ano po, yung
Pag hindi
sigaw
ka
ka,
bayad, ano yung
Ano yung profile of the people who go to your locations?
These are actually the minimum wage workers, so construction workers, janitors, security guards.
Mhm.
But they can now have a place na may aircon pa rin.
Yeah.
1,000, ano?
700?
1,700.
Oh, okay ba? Magkano yung per day?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
really?
57 pesos.
Yeah.
And then meron kang ano, di ba? Hindi ako yung computer. Di ba meron kang ano, di ba? Meron kang place to wash, to standby,
Yes, they
to
have
smoke, washing machine,
yes,
parang
they
di
have
ba?
amenities. We have, aside from the aircon rooms, we have cable TV for them. We get free Wi-Fi internet. Yeah.
You rent the place, the land?
It's mostly what we do is partnerships. So it's a JV. A lot of landowners, not necessarily are developers, so a lot of them are land banking. So they buy the land, just put their money in the bank. Sometimes, the interest not so good. But if they invest in properties, it's not overnight that your
Yeah.
prices will go up. So they have to wait for a couple of years. While waiting, that's where we think that this is a win-win.
Yeah.
So we partner with them, we build the container structures, and then after a number of years, if they say, I want to sell or I want to do something with the property, since we're made out of containers, we can easily mobilize to another location. It's like a pop-up door, worker
Yeah,
store.
yeah.
Ano lang standard size niya? Is it a standard size or may mga malaki?
Beds ito, partner, beds.
Yes,
Yes, yes,
yes.
So how, anong ilang square meters?
Well,
Ilang kayang tao?
each of our site has an average of about 400 capacity.
How many containers is that?
That's around 25 containers.
Oh, yeah. How big is the land area?
Minimum, we're talking about 1,200 square meters.
Liit, ano?
1,000 square meters lang yan. Yun, pwede tayo maglagay sa gitna ng
Per room, ilan ang kaya?
Well, what we consider as a room is a 40-foot container, and we have designed it to fit 22 beds. So we're not talking about rooms per se.
Yeah.
It's more like
Dorm.
in Japan, the capsule
yes,
hotels.
California.
What they lease are the capsule beds. So this is City Hub is more like a transitory living space for workers. A lot of the workers who are minimum wage are actually, they call them migrant workers. They work in the metro but live in the outskirts, Manila, Bulacan.
3 hours commute.
Yes. So instead of them having to commute every day, this is like their hotel for the week. And then
Parang
on weekends-
cheaper pa than taking transportation.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hindi pa sila matitirikan ng MRT.
No, but imagine you have a chance to socialize, may aircon, and you're safe.
Yeah.
Yung inumpasan niya sa pamilya niya, yung first location.
Yeah.
Idol ko yun si Panya. No, kasi we need dignified places to stay
Yeah.
for our most ordinary working people. Pero kung estudyante ka, doon ka na lang.
Yeah.
Diba? Ang gusto ko ngayon gawin niya, nasasara yung yung bed.
Para may mas privacy.
Oo. No, para pwede mong iwanan ng karga. Kung Pilipino dating, mawawala yung karga nila. Diba? So lockers and then privacy.
Yeah.
Capsule hotel kasi is tiny but you close eh. Although ang dami, screen lang.
First screen.
Anyway, Obet, ikaw naman. Obet is our facilitator today. But,
For you guys to have an idea of what I do, I'm very much trusted by this person. His name is Tony.
malakas yan sa akin.
I belong to the Ministry of Bo Sanchez. I am the youth leader. And he trusts me so much after being busy training the young people. He trusted me with the leadership training of the future leaders. So if there's a Star Wars and there's an Obi-Wan Kenobi, I would be the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the future Jedi. So I trained them. Then he trusts me again so much, had me relieve a bit of, because I train a lot of leaders. He had me oversee now the Southeast Asia Feast. We call the events Feast. So
prayer meeting nila, feast na
yes,
tawag.
feast ang tawag, like thousands of people are attending. Una-una, he entrusted me with Feast Valle Verde, where it all originated. Then he transferred to PACC, where it boomed, like 10,000 people are now attending. And then spread it across the globe. And I'm overseeing now Southeast Asia, namely Vietnam and Indonesia, Singapore, and Hong Kong, and so on. Isa sa mga paborito ko would be Indonesia because it's predominantly Muslim country, but we have a feast there attended by thousands of people. At sa Singapore naman, when they're working, we have 5 strong feast there. Kanye was asking me, ilan na bang feast all over the globe? I think we have 300 plus. And Bo is also a visionary, and when you have a visionary boss, he has no details. So kami mag-execute lang. Sa pula ko sa sinasabi kanina ni JJ, mag-visualize, tapos i-execute mo. And that's an art and that's courage. So that's what I do. And I'm also at my before I graduated from my master's in public at NCPAG sa UP po. I was a problem student. I was public enemy #1 because I'm a hitman to a fraternity. I was in the fraternity wars, but God is for real because I changed and then I got employed, reformed my life, and the very same school that wanted me kicked out offered me a scholarship grant. So, kaya pala mag-uno pag nagseryoso na ng ano. So that's it, and I'm here to listen and learn and integrate and synergize every idea that the most brilliant of minds.
Yung isang hindi makakarating is the head of the youth group na ni Brother Mike. Kasi inimbita ko yung Catholic groups na charisma. Kaya lang, yeah. I have 4 cancellations actually, including Bimbo. Bimbo Salsal sa Bosiligero. Sabi ko, walang problema. Things happen talaga. Yeah. Ikaw naman.
Hello, good morning. I'm Marian Bartolome and I'm a regional intern from World Youth Alliance. I'm also a fresh graduate
What school?
from UP.
You're with the Waya?
Yes,
That's what?
regional intern.
When did you start? When did you start?
In February, January, 8th of January.
Siya ang recommend ni Mary.
I sat on the board, international board in New York.
Kaya, malakas ang lawyer dito. Sa mesa ito.
My daughter was the first regional deputy for Asia, si Erica.
Bago si Ren.
Huh? Si Ren ngayon, no?
Oo.
But she's been there for a long time.
Okay. Anthony, si White. No, tinitit niya kasi. Okay. Kit, ikaw naman, Mada.
Well, I'm here to listen and learn. I got a call from Tony yesterday, and today is my writing day.
Ginugulo ang writing siya. Let's go look at
It's normally sacred because
Normally.
here
Karami
the
yung
time
kasalanan.
frame is limited, no?
Oo.
And here you don't have any control of anything. So while you're in the middle of construction, your wife breaks in and says, "Oh yeah, you do this for me." Anyway, what do I do now? Well, I conduct a column 3 times a week. If you have not noticed it, I'm on the front page of the Manila Times and
Uy,
WF.
gumaganda Manila Times, ha? For a time, na ako, worried na ako doon. Wala na siya.
Umalis ako ng isang buwan eh.
Disruptor ito, wala panggulo din ito.
Many people stop reading the Times. Umalis ka na yata. Anyway, that's my day job. Aside from grandparenting, I do travel a lot, speaking in various forums, and normally on family life issues. No? I used to sit on the board of the World Youth Alliance. This is an organization founded by Anna Halpine in New York. She was a young girl, below 30. One day she was in the UN listening, and then there's a young youth group that came in, presented a list of what the youth of today would like to see. And I read it and said, this is a scandal. This is the opposite of what young people want. And so they left the room with some friends. After a few hours, they went back and presented a list to the UN. This is what the young people of today like. A morally upright existence, intellectually challenging. And so why I was born. Some very good people supported and continue to support Waya. Gerd Spiegel is one of them. The papal biographer, John Paul II's biographer, and he's in the Institute of Ethics, Public Ethics in Washington D.C. Before John Newhouse died, he was very actively supporting. Archbishop Chapo sits on the board. Last time we had a meeting, we were together in New York. I also sit on the International Right to Life Federation. This is based in Cincinnati, Ohio, where we have board members around the world. I represent Asia. My wife and I represent Asia in the Pacific. And I've been speaking to the World Congress of Families. This meets once every 2 years now, I think more frequent. I spoke first in Prague, founding conference of the World Congress of Families, and then in Geneva, in Amsterdam, Madrid. So this is my last conference was in Budapest last February. So this is my engagement, public engagement.
Busy, like
Yeah, and it gives you no rest. At home,
And you have a TV, a cable program.
I have a cable program once a week, GNN. We tape on a Friday, it airs on a Sunday evening and Monday morning. Yeah. Politically, I annoy the president 3 times a week.
I like that. At least 3 times a week ka lang ba?
Well, there are many more people joining my ranks.
The other day, sa kanya naman yun.
Dumadami kami. Anyway, I'm trying to be helpful. Show him the light. He's in a lot of trouble right now. He needs help. He needs prayer. He needs good ideas. Ideas that work.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of ideas right now, but we need good ideas that work, and people who are willing to pay the price, because that's where we are so lacking. We believe something is right, but if we are asked to pay any price for it, we are not there. We want to move this away. Let others do it. Anyway.
Oh, Sam, ikaw naman.
Yeah, okay. I'm Sammy Yap. As I said before, I'm a former SVD priest. I was a priest for 10 years and I got my dispensation. I was classmate with Tony Yap in the AM. We call each other Pinsan because I think we are distantly related.
I think we must be.
Although siya isang paligo lang pogi sa akin.
Personalan kagad eh. Personalan kagad eh. Wala.
Emmanuel Yap was related to you.
Well, I have a brother called Emmanuel Yap.
I have, kami rin. Ano nung kapatid na?
Si-
Parang yung Manuel sa mga parang Manuel, Ramon.
Professor.
May Samuel Yap din na AVP ng Metrobank.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was in schools for about 30 years, international schools and local schools, etc. And so I founded a school in Tanawan City. It's called FAITH, First Asia Institute of Technology and Humanities. As I said, the whole idea was we have only one reality, and science and faith are two perspectives of one and the same reality. So the fault of our educational system is that this is taught separately. A mathematics teacher does not have anything to do with values, etc. So the founding idea of the school is to integrate technology and humanities. In other words, every teacher becomes a values teacher. And if it's a Catholic school, it should be along the Christian faith, more or less. So unfortunately, I and the president of the school had different ideas, and so I left the school. But we started at putting that into the curriculum so that you can actually measure it, metrics for finding out whether your students have more values and academics after the semester or after the school year than at the start. That was a project we started, but it's aborted when I left the school.
What was the main difference? You practice, he does not.
Well, my president owned a lot of semiconductor factories, and he looked at the school as a processing, turning out students like products.
Negosyo lang yan.
Yeah, negosyo lang yan. Anyway, after that, after my school, I went into consultancy, so I'm now a financial and technical consultant of some firms. But what I'm doing right now, which I think should have some traction, would be I initiated what we call a collaboration between the church and the state on drug rehabilitation. We have started that with the Archdiocese of Manila, and
Expected ka naman na group of alam mo si
Sammy.
You know that guy?
Absent last Monday.
Yeah. Si Jun mo yun. This is Panya. Hello, baka second youngest in this group. Si Obed and si Mar.
The youngest.
Enrique Guzman, the youngest member of my board. By 1 year, no? In difference ni Joe Araudi is 1 year, no? Sabi ni Joe, he will try to come here, but Joe is driving himself. 81, 82 years old, driving himself from Tagaytay to here. Sabi ko, baka dumating ka dito, launa ng
Mata pa yun.
And so,
Yeah.
let me
Your
continue.
last word, sir,
Let me
would be
continue.
the collaboration of the church. and-
I'm trying to put together a collaboration with the church and the state because, as you know, for all their differences between our president and our Catholic bishops, they have actually a lot more in common than differences. I mean, if you take a look, no? And so the drug problem, for example, I mean, if officially the stand of the president is more on drug rehab rather than the AJ case, no? It's trying to build up a society, and that is also the stand of the Catholic Church. Let's have drug rehab, and so they are doing it in parallel, but not in collaboration. See, and so the first aim is to let them collaborate, and the second aim is let them reconcile. In a way, no. Now,
Pagdadasal yan.
when the CBCP president was Archbishop Sok Villegas, they were more antagonistic with the president. But now the CBC president is the Archbishop of Davao, si Valles, and so they are good friends with the president.
They
So-
come from the same place.
so perhaps there could be a better chance. We have started already this drug rehab dialogue and the ASIC level with June Densing, who is the son of a ex-BD like me. We call ourselves former SBDs. We call themselves ex-BD. No? We have started already collaboration, talking to each how we could collaborate down the line, because you know the Catholic Church has about 3,000 parishes all over the Philippines, and some parishes and dioceses have already drug rehab programs, notably in Cebu, Novaliches, Manila, and some other dioceses. And the government has also drug rehab programs. I think it would be a wonderful idea if they could collaborate. In other words, in terms like, for example, values formation, the church of whatever faith could handle that. Then the others, which would be hardcore, like testing and these technical aspects of drug rehab, etc., and even going into livelihood, because what happens after drug rehab? They go back unless they are employed, etc. So they're teaching some skills from TESDA, ALS, for example. That should be integrated into the seminar, into the drug program. So we are trying to work on this one, and the ultimate, not really the ultimate, but perhaps the good beginning would be if we can get the president and the CBCP to sign a kind of a MOA whereby both of them would collaborate, and the president would mandate all the organizations down the line, the ILG, DOH, the SWD, to collaborate with the church parishes, because there are 3,000 parishes all over the Philippines. If each one would have a drug rehab program, that would make a dent on the 1.2 million drug addicts who are now listed in the roll of the barangays all over the Philippines. So that's what we are trying to do. I'm trying to do this through an organization called LISADS, Lay Society of St. Arnold Johnson. This society was founded by ex-BDs like me, but then we expanded. We have other members, Orly and Charlie Abela, your good friend of mine, is a member also of this society.
Yung ba yung sa Jaryo?
XVD rin.
Ano?
Hindi siya nagsusulat din.
Yeah, well, he's writing also.
Madali ka naman.
Okay.
Well, I'm Ed Amistad, as mentioned by Tony earlier. I'm in the CSR. I'm the chair of the CSR committee of MAP, Management Association of the Philippines. My previous, so that's my involvement now, no? More on corporate social responsibility. I was, as mentioned, used to be the chair of the League of Corporate Foundations, and it was during my term as chair of LCF that the ASEAN CSR network was formed, and I got elected as the founding chair of the ASEAN CSR Network.
Okay.
So I'm into CSR, and one of the things I do for BCYF is to talk about CSR in different fora.
Permutations.
So I've been around talking to different
He's so
groups.
nice, you know, I send it everywhere, he never says no. Kaya, okay yan si Ebe. He's
And,
one of the busiest guys, I know, he never says no.
But I was absent last and
Kaya naman para kay Benny yun, Bart.
to make up for it, I'm here today.
Kinakatsaw.
But anyway, when you talk of CSR, you know, as mentioned by BCYF, you have CSR 1.0, CSR 2.0, and now we're into
Yung ating
CSR
3.0.
3.0.
Yung atin.
Yung sa atin, yung sa BCYF. What is 3. Sandali lang definition, 1.0 yung nag-donate yung mga companies sa mga charitable that's the normal thinking of corporate social responsibility. You have 2.0, they integrate CSR in their operation. They make sure that their employees are paid well, that their suppliers are treated well, so on and so forth. No?
And they have many times some societal
intervention,
and,
yeah.
objectives. So.
And then you have 3.0. We call it
we call it transformative CSR. Pero yung atin is different.
yeah,
Personal CSR yung atin.
personal CSR because of the importance of the individuals, the leaders, for example, of the organization. If their values are not on the right place, and you expect them to implement CSR in their organization, most likely it will not be done properly. So you have personal CSR, and Tony is not aware that I'm also doing my personal CSR in my own way. There is this place in Nueva Vizcaya. The name is Malico. It's like the place is similar in elevation to Baguio. High elevation. So the weather is similar to Baguio.
How are the nice people?
Great fruits.
Yeah, but inhabited by an IT group called Kalanguya.
Hindi yung
Group.
mga nice people around niya.
No. And I've
Di ba
been,
dyan yung malapit yung Santa Fe Trail?
yeah.
Oh. That's
Dalton.
highway ng mga nice people.
Yeah, may mga dumadaan, but yung inhabitants doon are IPs. And since way back, I've been trying to help them out. I've been adopted by the tribe. 500 in Malico, Barangay Malico, around 500 individuals. So 3 years ago, we launched a festival to promote their culture and their place. And last year was the second, and this year will be the third.
Recruit mo kami, partner, to help people naman.
That's why
IT is one of our big programs.
nung nalaman ko nga, sabi ko later i-introduce ko
Can you
yung
imagine yung ginagawa ko sa Mindoro is now on its 18th year.
18th.
It's a 20-year study. Ang question ko lang sa Lasal din for me, the only question is, what is the correct way to educate an IT? First conclusion, lahat ng government programs are failing. Every single one.
So that-
And then may amount, billions, partner, billions. Grabe. So anything on IT, meron tayong unit. No, in my school, I have a unit. They can go, they can teach, they can send students. We can build things, engineering, yung engineering college ko, can ano yun?
Yeah.
Maraming nagre-request yun.
Okay.
Kung alam ko, oo. Sorry marami. Kinopin namin sa ibang tao kasi we don't know Kung alam ko lang.
Anyway, that's my
tayo ng
that's my involvement
guest house
doon.
dun sa parang Baguio yan.
So one time baka
Punta natin. I go to
the first time I visited the place 1995.
Pero Benny, native ito ng Nueva Vizcaya.
No, Isabela.
Ay, sorry.
Isabela. Kaya lang it's
Bakit ka
too
naging
far.
chairman ng Nueva Vizcaya natin sa Search for Hometown Heroes?
Because doon na yung lugar ko I have a place there.
Disqualify
mo ba yan?
Chairman ng Search for Hometown Heroes doon That's our big project, Search for Hometown
Anyway,
Heroes.
that's it. That's
Chairman
my
ng Nueva
involvement
Vizcaya.
now.
Tagay sa Okay, chair mo ka na ng dalawang probinsya. Jun.
Good morning po. I'm Chris Moirong of Sunlight Foods. Dati po ako kasi nagtatrabaho sa malaking companies. But then, nung nagkaroon ako ng family ko, kasi busy ko sa assignment ko sa mga companies. Pag-uwi ko sa amin kasi di ako kilala ng anak ko. No? So, sabi ng pag kumakatok ako sa bahay, sasabihin ng anak ko nanay, may bisita. So, masakit ano. So, napag-isip-isip ko, hindi mo na pwede may balik yung pagkabata yung mga bata.
Excuse me, so can we pray before we Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. Let's pray together.
Dear God, we ask you to just be with us, walk with us, guide us. We surrender everything that we've got to your divine hands and your intervention. May you be the Lord of this discussion, and may all the information and all the expertise and all the exchange of idea be synergized under your grace. Thank you very much for this blessed opportunity to be surrounded with people who have nothing but to make this country, make this place a better world under your will. And thank you also for the food that we are about to partake from the bounty of Christ, our Lord.
Amen.
Okay, June, I'm sorry to interrupt.
So, I opted for an early retirement at the age of 40, year 2000. I set up my own company, catering the food preserve requirements of the industry market leaders in ice cream, bakery, and fast food. So, I started the business with 4 personnel. My wife, with 4 personnel, kasama yung kasambahay namin na 4, my wife and me. So, anim kami lahat. So we rented the house sa Marikina at 13,500 pesos a month, with money in the bank of around 320,000 pesos. So napakahirap kasi we are targeting the industry market leaders. So ang advantage ko lang is that I am a technical man. My wife also a technical man. My profession is a mechanical engineer and my wife is a food technologies. So, ginamit po namin yung kaalaman namin in setting up that facility, and yung mga designs ng product development, and we were able to penetrate the industry market leaders. Ang hirap na dinaanan namin is that most of our personnel come from the resettlement area surrounding our facility in Marikina. The settlement area is just like squatter area. Ilan sa Marikina kasi may control doon pinaganda nila yung labas. May control ng mga tao sa loob. So settlement area ang tawag nila doon. And mostly of our personnel, around 75% of them are elementary and high school graduates. So para maganda para mag-level up yung pananaw namin sa pagnenegosyo, ang unang-unang trainings na binigay namin sa mga manggagawa is value formation, with the help of our parasites, then followed by realignment of values, then followed by technical training skills para sa mga kanila, competence. So ang kagandaan naman dito, with my knowledge about technical, we use innovations para ma-turn around namin yung business. We conduct productivity improvements sa mga operations namin, focusing on the reduction of environmental impacts of our operations. And maganda po yung nangyari kasi we were able to penetrate yung mga big markets, industry market leaders. Like for example, it's ice cream industry. Ang number 1 na ko namin sa ice cream is yung Unilever Selecta. They control around 86% of the market share. Then we also supply to Jollibee, subsidiary ito ng subsidiary nila yung Chowking, around 400 stores nationwide. Red Ribbon, around 200 stores nationwide. Another one is yung bakery, yung Gardenia Philippines, around with the nationwide distribution network ng product nila. So napakalaki po ito. And they give us the sustainable market, producing also a sustainable livelihood sa mga mga empleyado namin and our supply chain. Right now, close to kami to 100 personnel, from 6 personnel, close to 100 personnel, with around 607 livelihood generated dito sa supply chain po namin nationwide. And we intend to double that within this year, 2018. Siguro kung may pasok na namin yung project namin ni Mr. Tolea sa Tarlac, and another one in Palawan, Laguna, pero of Senator Osmeña, ma-achieve na po namin yung target namin na yun. So, yun po yung
Thank you, thank you. Before we start, I'll just explain how I chose the people here, okay?
Teka, si Benny. Hindi pa nagsalita si Benny.
Ayun nga pala, sorry. Benny.
No.
Para introduce yourself tayo nga. Sige, go ahead. Sorry pa.
I have a different way of introducing myself. When Q Tatad was the youngest cabinet member,
That was a few years ago.
more than 30 years na siguro.
More. Ikaw naman, bata pa ako.
1969.
Oo.
And he will not remember, but I was the first model of Bago Lipunan.
Oo.
Ganun ba?
I was the first model.
Hanggang ba?
Nagkaindot ang bayan, disiplina kailangan.
Ikaw yun?
The brother of Penny is the wife.
Yeah, Tony.
Tony Cantero, Carmi, the model.
Small world,
He's
ah.
the-
Para hindi ko rin, meron ka palang kayo sa model, ha? Di ba yan, ha?
In fact, before the last showing in Mindanao, pag pinakita yung Kagulan na Bayan, in movie house, pinapalin ng mga Muslim.
Ikaw yun, ikaw binabalik.
But just the same, good class may not produce the best results. I was part of the good class. I was part of the... Anyway, sa Tunggal ng Bayan, disiplina ko na, I maintain that kind of discipline. I've been born with Tony when Pinatubo interrupted.
Tagal na yan.
interrupted.
Tagal na yan. 91, right?
91.
Kasama na kami. Oh.
I hosted the meetings of the relief of Pinatubo for 3 months. Which is the call of the priest. And Father Bishop Anicet then said, Benny, you will be the first president. Sabi yun, no. Sabi ko, lagi ko yung girlfriend, wala isang kapampangan. Sabi niya, you will not be eating good food because kapampangan is eating good food. But people are not realizing the good things that happen along the way. Ahead of Gawad Kalinga was a donation of 4 hectares of the Mesa Sisters. The best housing we ever produced, including elementary school that we provided. Our own contribution. The first elementary school that the comfort room is next to the blackboard. Why? When a pupil says, may I go to the comfort room, he will not come back. That's because of the poverty level. We started with 40 boards for figuring. Most of the people from Sasmo will not want to accept it. Akala would be a different brand of NPA. But this, to one of the biggest conditions we find with your necessary life, provided that it will not be announced as an announcement now, but it produced very good results. Now, sometimes this beginning, like what June is doing in July, can produce multiple effects, like the production, the improvement of your workforce, supplying the chain. Because if you look, the successes of Pan, I'm impressed with the success of this Jollibee. Small beginning in July. international, and Jollibee doesn't earn on me. Because if I take breakfast with senior citizen and 42 pesos, how can you earn? May kape na and so forth sa morning, may dyaryo, may kape and so forth. Hindi mo ba? But it averages out because of volume. And the quality, nobody can question the quality because of people like you. Collectively, we can give our own contribution. So every time we would want to get out of the of Tony, panay-trabaho, I look back at the end of the day and say, Lord, please give me additional blessings so I can see it. I am not asking for blessings anymore because you've given me more than you have. In the spirit of them, let me instill the value of humility that I never had.
Diretsahan na.
Alam mo, kid, I'm one of the very few, less than 5%. By August, I'll be twice, Diamond Jubilarian of UP. Twice. Jubilarian. Na hindi ka naman matalino.
Pero madaya kayo, hindi kayo 75, 70 lang kayo.
70, ginawa nila.
70 lang eh.
Ginawa nila eh.
I'm much older. Have you seen Tony lately?
No. And June, how are they?
June is in Chicago.
I see. And Tony?
He's in an assisted living quarter.
Nursing home.
Oh.
Tony is here.
Tony must be around 83, 84 lang yan eh.
Yeah, he'll be celebrating his 85th, I think, soon.
Oh.
I'll make sure that you get invited because you're going to list down your...
Kasunod lang siya, 83 na ito.
Alzheimer's na si Tony. When you meet him, his first question is, what are your projects? So you answer. After your answer, what are your projects?
My brother-in-law, he died last year at age 97. He was the first Doctor of Medicine of UP. Very, very clear man because he did want to live anymore. My sister died 4 years ahead. And he produced 12 children, all made very good in life, not one. Very unusual. Usually pag more than 7 may mga nag-deteriorate.
Fantastic.
97, no?
Okay, so before we start lang, I'll just explain. Because this is on purpose I wanted a diverse group, but I also wanted to do something unusual. This is our silver anniversary kit. So for the first time I thought, for my most important discussion, why not invite at the last minute and see who will show up. This is the only activity we've had where we invited at the last minute. And I was hoping we'd have 15 people. We had 15 confirmations. There are 9 of us here, so there are 6 people who were not here. Let me tell you who were not here or who were here for a short time. So one of them is Mako Rabanzo. He's our first awardee in our CSR Youth Awards. Young kid whose father was taken by the rebels in Basilan. And instead of getting upset as a young man in high school, he took that and created what is the I Am Mad Foundation, Make a Difference Foundation. It is the single biggest group going around the country where there are kids whose fathers were taken or were killed or were something like that. At any time they run between 60 and 80 programs throughout the country. And because the little money is made goes to all of these things, he remains an ordinary employee of Metrobank Foundation. I like that. So that's one person who was here. Mako is in early 20s. The second one, at the last minute, he texted me, he said, my personal department do not want me to leave because I have to take half day this afternoon. So I said, no problem. The second one was here earlier, but could not stay, JJ Moreno. JJ is, because of JJ, we have a CSR program. Okay? Without JJ, there is no CSR program. Because he's the one who introduced me to Wayne Bishop. Wayne introduced me to Thomas. Thomas introduced me
So it was just Thomas who introduced you to Wayne, huh?
No,
Wayne
no.
introduced you to Thomas.
JJ introduced me to Wayne, When actually JJ gave me a list of names, and I said, no, I think this is the person. Wayne gave me a list of names, then I said should be this, and so on. So Thomas introduced to me Rebecca King, who was the head of the MBA program of Nottingham, which is a top school when it comes to CSR. And then she introduced to me Angela, at that time the advisor to the president of South Korea. So mga ganun ang nasa group. And then ang nakakatuwa, all of them asked if they could join our experts group and be available to do consulting across the whole 10 countries where our foundation operates. So we have an experts group that has about 40 people. So Ed Francisco, the president of BDO Capital, etc., they're all there. There are 4 groups within BCYM. We have a board, we have an advisory council, we have an experts group, then we have BCYM SAVE, or staff and volunteers. That's the one that we use Philippine Arena this year because Araneta is too small for our number of volunteers. Although we've been counting, we have a problem. I think we will need to use all 3 of their locations, including the football field and all at the same time. No, we will do it all at the 3. That's why we're experimenting. So later this month, we will try a live stream using 50 locations nationwide with the universities and see what happens. Because we have a problem. It's our silver anniversary and we don't know. Everybody was volunteering. So the one running Air Asia Foundation called 2 weeks ago saying that used to be a BCYM volunteer, can Air Asia help us? Nakakatuwa, no? Air Asia Foundation, malaki yung parang diba? I need tickets to send people around. So we'll get between 50 to 100 tickets. Philippine Airlines, Cebu Pacific.
When is the exact date?
The exact anniversary is November 30, but we will celebrate it for 1 week. Okay, the highlight will be the search for hometown heroes. We will award 1,626 people, 1 per town or city in this whole country. The search has been going on since May last year. Hindi natin kayang every year. I think we'll have to do it every 3 or 4 years. Matugo yung organizational requirement. Nagkakagulo yung aking logistical kasi even the movement of materials, we're printing so much material. But 1,600 plus awardees. Diba? 80 provincial finalists. 16 regional entries to the final judging, 1 awardee. That's all on November 30, 27. 30 is when, 26 is when we'll have our mass with Archbishop Anseco, who's chairman of my board of advisors. The new Archbishop of San Fernando, Graduate Tonet, together with 6 parish priests and 2 nuns who are heads of their congregations. Kasi nga, our small school, that's what you say, diba? Values before anything. But we're producing priests and nuns. We produce more than 50 of them.
Wow, okay.
Not bad for a non-sectarian school.
Yeah, better than many Catholic schools.
I think so. And then now we have a bishop, Archbishop Labarias, who is but 76 high school. He went from high school straight to the seminary. Anyway, so that's the second person, JJ Moreno. He has a nice background because he was asked by GMA to create governance programs, wrote the governance rules at the PSC, and now is the Chief Strategic Officer for the Gaisano Group. He convinced them to listen to the stock market, etc., etc. The third person, who is supposed to be is Bimbo, because all his business schools have signed MOUs with us. That's 357 business schools nationwide who are waiting for this material. So we have 3 things that we're taping. One is on ideas, one is on faith and values. Then we have one on volunteerism.
Bimbo Mills?
Pardon?
This is Bimbo Mills?
No, Bimbo Salazar. Salazar. Milito Salazar. Former monetary board, UPIS. Okay, so it's the third one. So there are 9 of us plus 3, that's 12. The other 3 who should have been my son, he had an attack of gout. On his right foot, he can't drive. He's surprised that at 35 he has gout down. Sabi ko, some of us like me got it much younger.
How old is he?
35. So, Namagang bigla yung rason niya. Sabi niya, yung liver na gusto ko, yung mga manit tapos
Been
na.
eating too well.
Yes, actually, you know, he will eat, if you give him a 20-ounce steak, it's too small. 20-ounce steak is too small. Appetizer meal. Yeah. He and my wife will finish one lechon just to cook that. But my wife has no gout or arthritis. And my wife is a senior citizen. Anyway,
Si Bimbo, kilala ni Kim. Bimbo was vice president of Manila.
Yeah, I know him.
Bulletin.
I know him.
And former governor of
He-
Rotary.
He writes for the bulletin sometimes.
yes, the last three who should be here but could not, because one is celebrating their foundation day, is the owner of Brian Milagrosa. I wanted somebody from Health Sana. So that's the Posadas Man family. I don't know if you know that. So Marily is an old friend. So yeah. Then I asked Abigail Mapua Cabanilla. I don't know if you know her. She runs all innovation program for Calis Benit. And it's the one that De La Salle uses for innovation. But last night, she I had no more time to talk last night kasi sabi ko, we'll just meet another time. I was going to invite her kasi we're going to have a major program with all the La Salle schools and the CAP schools on social innovation. It's a massive meeting with 400 or 500 people. So I was telling her, let's go to a smaller venue, maybe 200 to 300. Kasi with so many, you cannot discuss. And then the last one is, I asked Big Brother to come. I know who is Big Brother in the Philippines. Yung Big Brother program, kilala ko yun eh. Key person yan in so many things in that field. Sabi ko, small group, pwede ka na magpakilala. You have to attend something this morning. Kundi you would be here. So it was gonna be that kind of mixed group. And then one of my young volunteers who unfortunately has to finish a proposal for funding this morning. So anyway, this is a good representation. So Jun Muirong is our first BCYF Innovation Awardee. He is the ASEAN Awardee, he is the PCCI Awardee, and the ECOP Awardee also. Yeah, diba? So si Muirong kilala yan as a real innovator, practical, and his business, for example, controls the ube business in the Philippines.
Ube.
Diba? How many percent ng ube in the Philippines ng hawak mo? 90%. Mga ganun, or maybe more. So anytime you eat ube, whether it's gardenia bread or you went on, the chances are galing sa kanya. But apart from that, meron siyang saba. Everything that goes into a halo-halo. Nata de coco, and his objective is world domination. First control 70 to 90% of the Philippine market. Before, and he's in business less than 8 years. So bigla sila, this is moving very, very fast. So very practical innovator, and he has good ideas. So last Tuesday, I got him to talk in 3 places. Guess what was the one location? Ched. Sabi ko sa Ched, let's have a seminar on innovation for you people in Ched. Nag-agree ba naman? So doon kami, nag-usap kami nito. Pero nagsasalita engineer about this factory. And us telling them, everything here is applicable because the concepts of innovation, idea generation, inventiveness are the same. The industry is not relevant. Yeah, so sinadya ko yun ang pinadala ko sa kanila. Kala nila social scientist, sabi ko no. Marami tayong kilala dyan, hindi dapat. Okay. Si Eddie Sim because boss ko yan sa MAP. No, because he, low-key, but really in CSR siguro siya may kilala. That's why, although I formulated 3.0, I asked him to speak about it. No, kasi he has more years of experience than me in CSR. Ako less than 25 years. No, but it was a journey. Hindi naman exactly gano'n, di ba? I spent more than 12 years trying to clarify what is true volunteerism. When do you become a VWAP, a volunteer with a purpose? Took me 12 years. I'm not that good. Diba? And then on the 13th year, I agreed with UST. UST was my partner to start the first CSR Research Conference in Asia. Now on its 8th year. So, some of course yan, idol yan, the classic. Yep. So, no, because it's hard to open a school. And it's open more than one school. And I don't talk about when he was SPD. I mean, after that, persecuted. I don't do the nabasa ko mga libros. I'm so happy because he's very busy. Si Mylene, I'm very happy. Actually, I was inviting si Ren or Mary Ingo. Kasi hindi ko naman kilala siya. But I'm happy that there's a new graduate in the group. Maganda yung may bata always. Obek tries to be a good person. So I asked Obek actually to be the facilitator. I'm just here to set the stage. Okay, and then in the next 40 minutes, we will take everything. We'll have a compressed one, but at least nakapag-introduce tayo and a little discussion. Simpan niya kasi bilib ako dyan. In fact, I want him to put up one of these, in one of my places. Seriously,
Just try it.
no, not try it. I want to offer those kind of cheap lodgings for my students. They pay more than that. And there's people pay a lot. 1.7 is cheap. Ang gusto ko lang, naglalak yung Yung lock, that's my only And then may separate parang locker room or something. Pero, because stealing happens. And young kids steal anytime. Diba? Hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit ang likod ng kamay nila. But it's part of the process now na okay lang yun. And of course, Ben and I have been together much longer than diba? Anybody on this table. So, he's the most active young person in our group. Young at heart daw siya. So, nabigla nga ako ng quintuple bypass siya bigla a few months ago. Quintuple bypass.
No sign of it.
And then he gets sick and nobody knows why, di ba? More than 2 months.
And the father of the one who operated on me, the first director of Heart Center, was here. And some doctors.
Ventura?
Ventura was here. When the wife died, she made up an understanding because
Namatay
the wife of Ventura died July of 2016. She stood for more than 1 hour, and she couldn't stand because out of somebody who served her well.
Hindi tumayo siya sa oras.
Hirap na hirap siya. That particular time in 2016.
So anyway, everybody knows everybody. We are a mixed group. So let's start formally and we'll start taping, okay?